So, going to Lowe's for guitar making. I've got a couple of tasks I need to get ready, and I just wanted to show you what I get at Lowe's that you might not think about. So I would recommend memorizing the entire layout of your favorite big box hardware, home supply, service, Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, Menards stores. There's more stuff in here that I use for guitar making than you might think, and it's well worth kind of having that knowledge to kind of pull from where the stores are and where the random clips and size things would go. If anybody comes up and asks you if you need help, you just say, "I'm good, I've got the store memorized, doing great." So, and they'll laugh at you and leave you alone, and you'll be on your way. Today I'm looking for GoBar sticks. So I am resetting up my new shop, and I need GoBar sticks to continue my current batch of ukuleles. So in Minnesota you can use dowels, but we also have high visibility driveway markers. So I will use both the orange and the yellow. These are fiberglass with a rubber tip on the end, and they work great. There's just enough flexibility. The span of my GoBar deck is all of 38¼ inches. I need to talk over myself here because Journey is still playing in the background, but I figured I'd let you see my face. So they're usually, dowels are usually in the same aisle as the finish and trim, which is what I'm trying to say here. But sometimes they might be on the end cap, which was the case today. So my GoBar deck is 38¼ inches from the top butcher block to the bottom butcher block span. So I need 4-foot full length dowel rods to be able to cut. And I found an end cap here. Usually they're right here at the end of the aisle, but this store has them buried on the bottom 2 shelves there of the end cap. And I was able to find what I needed and headed home. So you have to be careful in your dowel sections. There are 3-foot versions and 4-foot versions. Sounds great, but I now have a longer span and the 3-footers wouldn't work. So in order to continue layout, I wanted to make sure I got my light installed. So here I am just adding a new 4-foot little work light, quick and easy, and I talk about those more in a little bit. Right, so for the GoBar deck, I like to use mixed materials. The thing you have to remember is you don't want a lot of flex on your bar. There's not a lot of actual gained pressure with the more radius that's in the bar, more flex that's maintained in the bar. There comes a certain point where your pressure in your GoBar isn't actually pushing down, it's actually going to follow your curve and push out. So what I do when I use my GoBar deck is I have a safe plate, because a lot of times I'm either gluing up braces or using a radius dish to glue up a back to hold a radius. And so to equal them out, I use a safe plate for my flats. So I'm going to start and I'm going to figure out what the optimal height is here. And I'm going to cut this side without the label so that I don't have to mess with the label. So I'm just going to get the span between my lower butcher block and my upper butcher block. It's actually 39¼ inches, I think. So, sorry, 38¼ Yeah, 38¼ strong to start. Just a small bandsaw over here. And then I rounded the end. I'll show how that is. Right. And that's actually not too bad. You can see I've got flat down pressure here and around the top, which is going to be enough. I don't want to overflex it. So that's probably a good distance. By the time I put it on a brace and move it into place, it'll give me kind of what I need. The reason I butcher block on top is so the top doesn't flex with the up pressure that the GoBar stick is putting, because it's putting downward pressure, but it's also upward pressure. But I think that'll be a good start. So now I just have to do it 39 more times, and then I'll build some simple shelves for my GoBar deck to hold the sticks, because I can't obviously store them flat. They'll sit out too far. One other thing to address on, I like to round my ends over on one end, just slightly. The fiberglass sticks come with a rubber end or a plastic end, and then they come with a pointed end. Now the pointed end isn't good enough or isn't good to use, and I don't want to have a point that thick on the top of my GoBar deck, because all it's going to do is dig points and it's going to eat up the hole. So I'm going to cut it to length, and then I'll round it over, and I'll show that step next. So a quick way to mark your length now that you have your known GoBar stick. Sorry, adjectives are just a tricky thing for me apparently. Is I lean them up against, I've got a hard kind of wall here for my project divider, and I just put the stick right against it, move the others that I'm going to do along the same way, so you can see I've got a shorter one. And you can take a square, speed square, framing square, set it in place, and then draw a line so everything's marked. And then there you go. I chose yellow, orange, and wood. I don't know if it's just in my head, but I like to have some color variation and some density variation of my flex in case I gotta bend more one way or the other, and that the difference in the way this poplar will bend versus the difference in this way this fiberglass will bend. My hope is to be able to do a top and a back and maybe a second top. Or a second back, so maybe have up to 3 if I'm doing acoustics, or with these smaller projects like ukuleles or mandolins or whatever, I can do 4. But to throw in some color will let me know that I'm looking at the back brace, or that I want to, whatever. It'll just kind of help break up, because when I used to do this and I only had one color, my brain just kind of went, where is this one that I have to move, and I couldn't find to reposition. So I'm just trying to give myself as many little helpers as I can. So now I took all the rods downstairs to my big bandsaw in the mill room, and I am cutting them on the large bandsaw. I still have to make an insert. Mine didn't make the move from Georgia to Minnesota, so I have to remake the new one. So when you're cutting the fiberglass, don't roll the rods as you go through, just push straight. You'll get a cleaner cut. The wood ones cut clean. And then here on my edge sander, you'll see probably as I go that I am adjusting the angle to actually get the roll I want. So I have to do this 40 times, but those first few were high, just gave me a point. So staying flatter to the edge sander belt gave me a much more even surface. And then I'm spinning the rod in my hand, obviously, so as I go around. So I am 6'1". I am still putting together my shop in Stillwater, Minnesota. My top bench height is tall. It is 39 inches off the ground, or 39 inches to bench height. I think most counters are shorter than that. And everything's starting to kind of go on me. So I raised my bench height. My last GoBar deck was only probably about 36, 34 inches. And I found, probably 33, honestly. They were at a standard cabinet height, so they were lower. And then maybe it was like 36 inches. But I found that I would hit my head, like leaning in, and I had to do everything kind of standing out far. So this new workspace cabinet area that I set up for myself, I raised the height so I wouldn't have to bend over. Everything's basically at waist height. And then the GoBar deck I pumped up higher because I knew I would just have to buy new rods to kind of get me where I needed. One thing I'll say about the fiberglass rods is remember they are glass. So they can give you slivers and to be aware. So if you want to use gloves when you put them on, otherwise I leave this reflector guard here on purpose, so it's a safe space for me to grab. Sometimes I'll tape up here, I'll just wrap it in a piece of tape there and have another point of grab. But you can be putting it in and it could have a fray and give you a sliver. So be aware of that. But otherwise, yeah, that's my GoBar deck. My hope is if I share these basics, kind of end the setup process, and you see somebody starting things from scratch and kind of re-establishing their work areas, that it might kind of make you feel okay about yours, give you some ideas. I hung this light. I got a 4-pack of lights I left over here from Amazon. So I bought a 4-pack of lights. They're all the same. They're probably like $46 for 4, super cheap. But I'm finding that even though I engineered and designed the shop, just in this space, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on 5 4-foot LED lights. This 5th light is on a separate one, and that one over there is on their own separate one. I still don't have enough light. So I added a 4-foot work light to 2 areas up here so far, and then I'm going to add another 3 downstairs in the mill room, and I added 1 in the assembly room. So you can't ever have enough light. Just make sure everything's switched, whether it's on a power strip or whatever. It's just easier than having to unplug. A lot safer for you in your shop. I need to add I wasn't sure which design I was going to go with for my bridge, and I think I'm going to actually do a bridge plate. I just got a 1950s Martin tenor uke that is amazing, and I've got a bunch of braces to shave down now that I've seen what that guy looks like. But I need to add a bridge plate, so I need to get my GoBar deck ready so I can add my bridge plate. The other thing I'm thinking about doing too is adding some reinforcement underneath the rosette here. My prototype had some rosette failures in the final sand stage because I'm used to sanding tops that are 120 to 135 thousandths, depending on if it's cedar or Sitka. And these thinner guys with the same pressure on my sander routed through some of the rosettes, and I had my prototype fail because I wasn't expecting that. So if I need to reroute it and figure it out, I want to have some reinforcement here, but that might be either this batch or the next batch. But anyway, if I do end up doing that, I'll document that and put it up on the Patreon. But yeah, I'm currently building a batch of 5 ukes, and it's been super fun, but it's an entirely different set of skills building ukes as opposed to building guitars. So I'll share everything I do along the way. I've also got some guitar related fretboard journal stuff I can add on here. But yeah, that's the GoBar deck, and that's kind of a broad spectrum of what I hope to be doing. I should do an official welcome video. Maybe I will. Cheers.